All right. Let's take a look at some games against lower rated players and figure out how to beat them, because these are players that are super strong. One of them actually upset the top rated player in the tournament, who's a master and former DC champion, and she's from Brazil, 1600 something. Well, she's still establishing her rating. I think it's provisional, but these are really strong players. So how do you beat them consistently, right? And this is from the Black Knights Chess Club Championship, which is a memorial for Zachary Kinney, Colonel Kinney, great guy who passed away this year. So I think that'll be this memorial will be continuing every year. Okay, so the first game we're gonna look at is versus Akeem, my friend Akeem. First time playing over the board with him. So I play the bird Dutch basically. I play the bird, which is like a Dutch reversed. So f4 d5. So if they were to play d4 and I had black, I'd play f5. Right?
Question.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Debbie?
You don't call that the King's Gambit?
Now, interestingly, King's Gambit is if they go e5, it could transpose. It'll become the king. See, this is Frum's Gambit, right? Where black is doing the gambit and they want you to take and take, right? That's Frum's Gambit. Now, King's Gambit, if I were to do it as white, I could transpose by playing e4. I just take the pawn, but you can't. But that would traditionally be e4 first, e5, then f4. That's the traditional King's Gambit. You'll see that all the time. And if you look back at 19th century games, kind of faded out of popularity by the 20th century. So we have f4d. So I like f4 a lot. It's like I'm playing a Dutch, right? But I get that extra tempo with the first move as white. Okay, I go b3. I don't want him to go g6 and take the diagonal. I want the diagonal. So I looked in, it's doable. You can go b3 immediately. It's okay. It works. And then I'll end up doing knight f3 later, or right away, maybe one or two moves, and then control the e5 square. The whole diagonal, really. And it makes him worried, which is why he doesn't castle kingside, because it kind of intimidates them from doing so. Now, interestingly, in my third game, my opponent, Phil, did do the traditional thing of going kingside. And Akeem regretted going queenside. But I'm like, look, I played Masters and they go queenside, because you can see it's kind of ominous, right? Got that bishop looking down the diagonal. But hey, if you want to play d5, you realize if you're going to go d5 and maybe c5, that's where you're in pawn chain with e6. That's where your play is for black. That's what Phil did. I don't have that one. I didn't input that one yet. So anyway, he goes knight c6. Usually I would go c5 first, then knight c6. I would like to pin. It's interesting how we did this, because I would like to pin his knight, and that's going to enhance my e5 control, right? Pin it, maybe double his pawns. But what he does is he goes bishop g4. So basically now I have to block with my bishop. I may as well. I don't want to get pinned this way. So I'll pretty much block with my bishop. Then he takes, and then I'll take with my queen, because I don't want my knight on e2. I want my knight on f3, where it's consistent with my strategy of controlling e5. Just because he does this whole bishop thing, that's not going to throw me off my main strategy. It's 9:32. All right. So bishop takes e2. So yeah, I take back with the queen. And then he makes his pawn chain. It's very sensible, right? He's good. Makes sense. He's traded off his, quote, bad bishop. It could have been entombed in there, right? That's not often a problem, like in a French or a Slav. Queen's Gambit decline, they make that pawn chain, and the bishop gets stuck. So he traded off his bad bishop. He's left with his good bishop, right? So it makes sense what he's doing. Knight f3. And I could leave. This is the eval bar there, you can see. So it likes white a tiny bit. Bishop d6, for what it's worth. It'll be hovering, or it'll be fluctuating around 0. Oscillating somewhere in 0.5 one way, minus 0.5 the other way, but it's more about strategy. Okay, and then I messed with him a little bit. I know this is probably not the best move, but I realized, hey, I can also come back. It turned out to be pretty good for me. What I'm thinking is he hasn't prepared to castle queenside. I kind of think he wants to go queenside. So I figure, hey, if I do this now, I could try to provoke queen move or rook move to guard the pawn, and then he won't go queenside. The moment he goes rook b8, he's not going queenside anymore. And I want him to go king. I do want him to go there. I might even throw my g-pawn at him soon, you know? When I first got into the bird, I would just shove my g-pawn at him. So I go queen b5. So I'm kind of testing him. Because again, I could easily go back. It's fine. So he goes queen d7. Then I go a3, which turns out is not a bad move, actually. The computer liked it. Looks weird. No, it has a very clear idea. When I move the queen, there are certain lines where he wants to go knight b4 and hit c2. So it's kind of a waiting move. But there are certain lines, like I forget where it would come up, but there are certain lines where knight b4 would be very annoying, and he could force a queen trade first. Yeah, he could force a queen trade, because I wouldn't be able to go to d3 and cover. So knight b4. So again, Debbie, as we talked about being aware of scope. So just thinking through the lens of how do you handle someone who's several hundred points lower than you, but he's still very good. But that's the thing about lower rated players. They look like they're doing really well until they don't. There's one move there's one move they make, and you're like, huh? That was a kind of weird move, right? And you won't usually see that among masters, right? Or maybe experts. But when you see below, let's say below 1800, they'll tend to make one move, and that might be the whole game. That might give you the advantage when they make that kind of what's that move, right? So then he goes queenside, which makes sense. He regretted it later because he's like, look, my play is over here. Now it's harder for me to do that. So basically, yeah, castle and queenside is a little bit like the king's freaking out. And again, his play is with c5 basically, and or maybe to play e5. I'm not giving him that control though to play e5 yet. Okay, then I go queen a4. I'm like, hey, let's just shove the b pawn. Why not? Let's just shove the b pawn. So see what he does, because hey, that's where the attack is, right? b4, b5, maybe c4, and I'm hedging it. Whenever you don't castle, you're kind of hedging, right? Hedging your bets. So he goes king b8. Good move. It's a great move, right? He's covering a7, so this is no longer as impactful. He's playing great. Yeah, he's doing great so far. Computer gives him minus 0.1, so it's even basically. Okay, then I come in with my knight. So what I'm thinking here is he can't trade. He can't trade queens. This fails, right? That blunders to the, because he can trade queens next, but then he just loses a piece. So he can't take with the knight. If he takes with the bishop, then well, we'll see. But it was just, I kind of felt like I needed to do it now, before he got some e5, yeah, some e5 stuff going. That was part of it. That's part of the reason I wanted to guard my queen, because there's always the e5 thing, takes, knight takes, and if the queen's not defended, he can get away with that. You take his queen. That's what I was thinking about. So that's why I went back after b3 plus the b4, b5. So anyway, he takes, I take back. So get the tempo on the knight. Now the problem here is the knight's stuck. I thought he was going to go maybe g8 and you could reroute to e7. But going here, you can see the knight has no future, not for a long time. So what's going on here is I'm restricting his knights. That's really the main thing. Outplaying someone, whatever level, really, but you got to restrict them because they're going to try and do a lot of dangerous things to you. So you just have to
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why wouldn't he go to take that knight and go to e4?
I thought about that. I was expecting that move.
Yeah.
Let me
versus you never go back like that. That was weird.
Well, sometimes. I mean, well, he had a reroute. Oh, you know what he wants to do? He wants to play f6 and then get back to f6 or d6 once he trades off my pawn. I think that's his intention. But I think the computer even like knight g8 when I briefly looked at it, because then you can go to e. It's kind of common. Keep in mind, it is a closed game. That's important. You mentioned in terms of strategy, working on that. When you have a closed game, you could do some maneuvers like that. You have more time because it's locked up now, right? This was like semi-closed, hasn't opened up yet. But the moment pawns get locked in the center, it becomes pretty closed. Especially if I go, well, actually, in a couple moves, I go d4. And then it gets really closed, which is not great for my bishop. We got to work with that. So yeah, but good question here. I was going to play here, d3 and kick it, knight c5, and then I was just going to swing my queen somewhere, like maybe queen here.
Got it.
Yeah, it's not ideal for me. But then again, his knight's kind of looking awkward also. So let's say I go here. And then b4, b5 might be coming anyway. So it's kind of like a one-move attack, I guess. All right, so castles. He goes rook f8. See, now it's starting to give me the advantage. And see, the computer actually wants f6 to chip at my center. Okay, then I go d4. So now, yeah, it's really locked up. But, the reason I did that is because if I went like this and swung over to, to do some things with the b pawn, then he would have d4. So again, this is restriction. This is actually very important. This is kind of like what's under the tip of the iceberg. We're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here, right? But underneath the tip of the iceberg, I'm thinking, hey, if I do that, he's going to start getting counterplay, right? I don't want that. See, I looked at the computer and it's like, hey, you could actually have done this. I don't know. I think it looks somewhat ambiguous. And I have to go here. The computer likes it, but, it's because his knight's so terrible. But he's going to go f6 and stuff. What would it be? Yeah, then he has to take with the rook to guard the pawn. He's got an isolated e pawn. So, okay, I get a tiny bit. Yeah, actually, I'd be happy with this. I didn't look at, maybe in a long game, I would have looked at all that. I didn't calculate all that. Hopefully, I would have seen that. But the point is, I'm like, look, why do I need to mess with it? If I could just, I want to stop him. And I could reroute the bishop to a3 later on with a4, bishop a3. But for now, I'm like, you know what? I don't want that to happen. So I restrict his counterplay. Also, that's what I'm talking about. You know what it was? When the queen's on, okay, well, imagine this. Let's say I had gone for b4. The moment I go b4, he has this tricky move. He can hang his knight. That's the kind of thing. This tactic where they can move it away and hang the knight because my queen's hanging. And then my queen takes his queen, his knight takes back and saves itself. You see, so that's actually the main. Well, I want to play b4, right? But the main reason I went back to a4 in the first place, or it's twofold, was to make sure my queen was guarded, right? Because he would have those tricks. The moment if she's on b5, yeah, he immediately had that trick. You guys have probably seen that before, right? Sometimes they'll have puzzles like that. Okay, so I castle. He goes rook f8. I go d4. Okay, so I'm trying, but again, keep in mind restriction. That's critical. And then I go all out when I'm ready, but I don't let him do too much. I bring my knight out. See, it looks like he's doing fine so far. It's about even. It's at minus 0.2. It's fluctuating, right? It's about even. So he's still fine. Doesn't like this move. This slows down his attack, I think. Locks things up a little bit, right? Okay, then I go over here with c4. See, you're going to see a lot of inaccuracies. It's a 45 flat minute game, but we're going to make inaccuracies. That's fine. It's a game. So then he goes g5. Good move. Gets his play going. I take him. I think I want to, maybe like bring the rook over first, but it's okay. I'm going to come out either way. But now the queen's going to get hit with a tempo, right? Because I'm going to bring the rook over and get a tempo on the queen and start putting pressure. So you can imagine how quickly things can go badly for him, right? b4, b5, knight b3, knight can hit a5, c5. So pretty much once I got that set up, then at that point he kind of just gave up because there was no defense. So he comes out. I'm recording. He comes out, okay? Okay, c1. No.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so he's finally getting his knight into the game. Okay. I get my tempo on the queen, but see, now it's really favoring white all of a sudden, right? Because I'm building my attack. Well, look at his knights. I think it was that maybe his knight maneuver was a bit slow. It is a close game. He has time to maneuver, but my maneuvers are leading to a breakthrough. So, he has to get going with his plan with f4, right? He wants to break through himself. He doesn't end up doing anything himself until it's too late. Like my tempo on the queen. Okay, he hits my queen. I just go back. I'm going to triple up on this file, half open file. Now I'm threatening to win a c pawn. So you can see it's giving me like +1. It doesn't mean I'm winning yet, but advantage white. White's building an advantage here, right? And then a4, a5, and that's pretty dangerous. So he defends. Well, it says it doesn't like that move at all. It said, it wants me to just rush him with my a pawn. Bypass to close it and just keep attacking him. Yeah, that'd be a pretty dangerous attack. Yeah, just keep building. I think it's fine because I'm going to get to a5 and I have all these threats over here. Some sacks and stuff, you'll see. Okay, then he goes to the middle. He didn't take advantage of that. Then I come in. So you can see ideas of queen a4, hitting a7, knight a6 or knight takes b7, knight c6 or knight takes b7. So really at that point, okay, so here he takes e3. Then I come over and then he actually resigned because he saw no defense against the knight c6. He could have played it out a little bit, but yeah, this was actually a blunder. You can see, look at the eval. It went from +2 to +5 almost. Yeah, you'll see the lines, what would have happened. But yeah, so basically he never really got his attack going. I didn't, he could have done f4, right? But he almost sort of restricted his own pieces by going 98. He could have gone the other way, but I made sure I did my best to keep my pressure on him, so he never really got to do anything. So that one's kind of an initiative game. I was able to get the initiative before he did. But still, you guys see the elements of restriction, right? Like where he wanted to do this knight takes e5 thing, so I made sure there was nothing there. A little bit of provocation in this game. But yeah, he wanted to play d4. I stopped him from doing that. So some restriction and just keeping an eye out for his play, and then ultimately I got my attack. And I'll show you really quickly what would have happened. So let's say he does, what's a move for him even? Oh, he has to go like c6, because let's say he does something random like this, then I win like this. See, I'm threatening mate, right? So he has to take it, and then I win the queen, right? Because I'm going to go here and mate. So it's pretty straightforward. Either a7 to the first focal point, the target point. Otherwise, I get this c6 and go into b7. So that's how that one went. And then I'll flip through the other one. Do you guys have any questions about that one? So a pretty messy game, not perfect. It was a warm-up game, first round, but but he's
nice.
He's good though. You can see, right? It kept saying, hey, even after this, he was fine if he had played correctly, right? He could have gotten a lot of counterplay. What's the move? F4. Yeah, he could have still been in the game for sure. Okay, so I'll just flip through the second one. So this is against Beatriz, and she's from Brazil, and she's like 1600 something. She's played. I looked her up in the database. She played in a lot of Brazilian tournaments. So she's good, and she ended up beating the top-rated player who was former DC champion. She beat David Sherman. So he was in there. He's like trying to stay in that one room. That top board was in a separate room. He's like, well, I'm staying in there. I guess I don't know whether it was the fourth or fifth round, but she was obviously doing really well. And you'll see she's super active. She's a very active player. So she just goes for active pieces. And I had to hold her off, right? So I'm doing the Owens defense. I like to play a little bit offbeat. So it's not really going into book. So I want to pin the knight and then threaten the pawn. Now the bishop's already guarding the pawn. Then I go for f5. Even the computer actually approves this. See, I like to move my f pawn, put pressure on my opponent like a Dutch, right? So she can't really take. It's actually a line where it looks like I think this doesn't work. They'll try this, but because my bishop's out on b4, it actually is okay. Otherwise, I have to go up, and that's bad. See, I think the computer eval is still, it says it's even actually. So she could do this, but if she wants to totally even game, but it's legit for me to take oops. Well, then she loses the pawn for nothing on g2. But yeah, you can do it. But apparently she can get a draw. What is it? Here. You fork those. I don't know. It gets messy. I have to analyze this to figure out if it's gonna if I'm gonna do it again. Then I don't know. It says take the bishop. What if you take the rook? Oh, she's gonna get a lot of play though. She's getting a lot of play on the diagonal if you want. Otherwise, you just trade bishops. I don't know. What's the result of that? Well, that's a big trade, huh? So what do we have right now? Is it equal? Oh, black's up a pawn, but the king's not castled, so kind of murky. But you could still be relatively safe here. So anyway, here's what happens. So she doesn't do anything. She doesn't take or anything. She just goes queen e2. Then I put the pressure on her with the knight. She supports the center, and now I decided to. I've seen this kind of thing before, where you can go after this pawn with the other knight. So I'm just getting my pieces out quickly. Apparently this is the best move, but it's unclear. I didn't want to let her play knight f3. So again, restriction in mind. Now I'm hitting this pawn. So if she takes, she does. He takes on f5, I can take it. I thought about this for a while to see whether I could have gotten away with it, because she has queen e5. I'm like, okay, fine. She goes queen e5. I just come back and hit the queen there. She goes to e3, but now I have whether she goes to e3 or f2. See, I guard the knight favorably with bishop c5 because I'm threatening to unleash my bishop with a discovered attack on the queen. Even if she castles, I go knight b3 check. I win the queen. So she has to move her queen away. So she hits the g pawn. I'm like, okay, let's just come out here, guard the pawn, and we're both going queen side this time. We're both getting away from the fire. I mean, it's going to be hard for her to go king side because my bishop. So we're just getting out of there. She takes and I take, and then the dust kind of settles. I actually have a lead in development now, though. She has to bring out her knight, right? I already have all my pieces out. My rooks are ready to go. So she swings here. She wants to go to h4, and then actually found the best move, which is, well, she can't take. That's a blunder. Take, and then you got to fork. All right, so a5, g2, and then now I'm trying to trap her queen with knight c5. So you can see, though, she's got super active pieces. Now she's trying to go like bishop in, right? Bishop a6, knight b5. I'm like, it's not super pleasant. Let's play a5 stopper. And then I'm like, wait, I have bishop b4. I can threaten to trap her queen with knight c5. Knight c5, queen b5, bishop a6. She's getting trapped in there. So she had to find a way out. Oh, hold on 1 second. All right. So I'm trying to trap her queen now. Knight c5 is a big threat. So for example, let's say she does something random like king b1. I think this is just winning. Knight c5. Yeah, but she's going to get some pieces for the queen. It's 2 pieces for a queen. But, it's still good. Let's see. Yeah, she gets some activity, but it's good for black. I mean, it is a queen, but she has compensation for sure. I can try and win, though. But so she doesn't really want to do that. She wants to keep her queen has been very active, right? She's on like 5 queen moves roaming around. So I got a little too dangerous, though. Okay, I take this one. So I could have had more, though. So this is correct. But then she takes this one. Now then I was like, I was getting low on time. I think I'm below 20 minutes now, maybe 15 minutes. So I'm like, I got to move. There's no increment. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. That looked pretty interesting. It's still good for me, but I just got to, what's the best line? I got to take the bishop. Takes. Yeah, that's pretty strong. I mean, she gets to come in with the queen, but she's kind of stuck in there. Yeah, I mean, if I could somehow move my king, I'd have rook a8, but I'm not getting there anytime soon. Yeah, it's hard to calculate that this is going to be good. something like this is it's sure, certainly it's good for black. Kind of hard to calculate. So I'm like, you know what, let's just go here. And then she's got to deal with the two pieces. Well, the bishop's hanging, right? She's got to get a piece back still. Sorry, what is it? No, she took my bishop. I went knight c5. Okay, her queen is not really hanging because so is mine. Mutually hanging queen, so it'll just be a trade. Not hanging to be lost, really. Okay, then I take back. Now it's hanging. I got my fork on these two pieces. But now what she's running into is this trouble on the e file. That's where she really lost, is the e file. And I'm threatening to take the bishop, undermine the knight. So yeah, pretty much though, I did my restriction job. Finally, it's my time to do some attacking. And then this is really where it turned. Debbie, I know you got to run, so I'll show you. This is really where it turned. I just got my check in, and I went here. And she actually, afterwards, we were like, where did it go wrong? Pretty much it was this move we figured. Yeah, it's like, just get your knight out. I'm like, yeah, I thought, she mentioned, I'm like, yeah, I thought you were going to do that. Makes sense. She'd go in the middle with the knight and stuff eventually. And then she's like, oh, you're going to go G4. I mean, sure, I could do that. Put some maybe H5, shove my pawns. Treat it like a queen side attack. Because we're both castled on the queen side. It's like normally you'd be on the king side, attacking on the other flank, that like a queen side attack. Now we treat this as a king side, attacking on the queen side where the kings are not. So I could do that. But she goes in the middle. Now it turns out it's just not good, because now I come in here and she's pinned. And if she goes rook, okay, she can attack my queen. She starts eating all her pawns, and I could win like that. Try to win that way just by eating the queen side, king side. So she defends, and then she loses. That's just losing. That's it. She's losing a piece. But I mean, the thing is, she's like, oh, well, I can go here and take the pawn, but I can't be afraid of that. Objectively, that's nothing. Super, super safe king. She takes my d pawn. I already, that was just a pawn sitting around. That wasn't even part of my king's defenses so much. It doesn't hurt, but I can give that up. And now I'm just up a piece, and I, just ended up winning.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I just come over and break through, and then I send, check, and then she gives up because she's got a block.
Right.
Actually, this wasn't made. I didn't look at it. This was made. Check, check. Hey, that's made too. But yeah, she just resigned at this move because she's stuck. So she's gonna block with me. Anyway, yeah. So hopefully that was useful for you. I know you got to run, Debbie, and then we'll play next time.
Yeah. So next, if you have any other times or
pause it, no?
that if